Hey everybody, welcome to Storm Talk. Obviously there's a lot to talk about, and yeah, I know there's been a lot of excitement. I mean, I probably started some of that in a way, talking about the system last Friday that was showing up in the models, but this is always an interesting time of the year. This is when even meteorologists turn on themselves, like, why are you talking about snow? Don't get all hyped up on things. Hey, look, nobody's hyping here, and it frustrates me when I hear that. Mainly because our job here is to inform you guys the best we can, and hopefully you learn something. And we show you the model data. A lot of you can see the models and know what they show. So this is our take on it, on what they show, and whether or not they should be believed or not. And that is my goal with the blog today. So before we get into all that talk, let's talk about what's happening today, because we got our hands full in the short term. Scattered showers regenerating too across western sections of wave country. Some hefty downpours moving in. It's been a non-stop train of moisture flowing in from this south flow from the Gulf of Mexico right into our area. So there will be some breaks every once in a while, but quite a few showers off and on today the way it's looking. So fairly high rain chances. And looking at the visible satellite, I do see a few little holes here and there, nothing dramatic, but a few. There could be some hints of sunshine. Any little hint we get could easily get us into the 65 to 70 degree range. Just depends if we get them or not. So we'll see how that plays out. I see enough evidence anyway on the trends that I think that's certainly possible. It's a warm flow anyway. We should do pretty good today, but bet on more clouds than anything and showers. Meanwhile, notice the clearing taking place in this area. That's not good, because this is the area that's going to be under the gun for severe weather later on as that cold front approaches. Enhanced area for mainly the Ozarks. So let's talk about, first off, our RPM model showing the wind arrows. Today, these spotty downpours will continue still well into the 60s, I think, and then we'll get more breaks certainly once we get fully into that warm sector that'll take over tonight. And then that's when the winds should really ramp up. I mean, wind gusts 30 to 40 miles per hour is certainly possible overnight tonight. It could even wake some of you up. And it's going to sound really bad out, okay? And you may think, oh no, this is going to be a bad round of severe weather moving our way. But that's not really the case here. There will be some strong winds, and it's going to be very warm. I doubt we'll drop below 60 probably here in the city the way it's looking with this band of rain. What may end up happening here with this line, it's going to be a weakening line of the severe weather they have in Missouri. We may have a band here where you've got the embedded squall line itself, the yellow and red, and it may be surrounded by lighter rains, so that the squall line's kind of inside the band of rain itself. That's very common when you get these strong wind belts aloft with very little instability to work with. So we've still got to watch this band moving through, and that as it passes through. Now the clock says 9 o'clock. It may be a little closer to the middle of rush hour tomorrow. Very heavy rain for sure. But as that band passes through here, we could see an area of enhanced winds that could push us close to 50 miles per hour. And that's something we'll be watching. It's a could, because there's still some questions on how much that wind aloft can reach the ground. Here's what the NAM high-res shows. This is about, say, 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, showing the line moving through. Now, interestingly enough, it is showing some cells trying to develop in advance of it. Due to the lack of instability that I'm really seeing ahead of that, I'm kind of doubting that's the case. They may be showers, but as far as thunderstorm cells popping up ahead of that, I just don't see that being the case. I think the NAM's overdoing that. Either way, this line will move through. Instability, hardly any to talk about. But the wind, yeah, there's a lot of the wind to talk about here. I mean, the winds are certainly high, just above our heads as this line pushes through. And when you look at the sounding, you can actually see where what we call that elevated instability riding through here. So this is where a lot of the stronger winds could be just off the ground level. Even a heavy shower, though, without lightning and thunder, can push those winds down to the ground level. It is possible. That's why we got at least mention it. But it may be the case where the strongest winds may remain elevated and fly right overhead. And we may have gusts, the typical 30 to 40 gust, and that may be the worst of it. Let's hope for that. We don't want any more wind damage, that's for sure. But that's something we'll be monitoring carefully through the overnight. Kevin and Ryan will have updates this evening, and of course, Christy and myself will be back on the air tomorrow morning and let you know how things look on the radar when you're getting up. All right, so enough of that. Let's talk about the weekend in the short amount of time I got. Here is GFS. Here is the the Euro. Here's the Canadian. What is happening here? A piece of energy is dropping down from the cold, and there's a piece of the Arctic air right over Canada here. All right, so that's a significant player dropping in. At the same time, energy is coming off the Rockies. The question is, this piece of energy coming off the Rockies, are they going to time out just right? It's a sort of a phasing kind of event that would take place. The question is, how is that going to evolve when it gets to the Ohio Valley? And the GFS is a little more to the north, rain snow line way to our north, in fact. Euro is a little more suppressed with it, which is a little uncharacteristic of the Euro. And the Canadian just pretty much has an open wave passing through here, not really an organized low, but certainly a colder look to it. The ensembles kind of match each of their own ideas. So there's not a lot of clarity here on how this is going to play out, but certainly some subtle differences here. So what is more likely to happen? Well, when you look at the low as we get into Sunday morning, notice how the GFS tries to ramp it up the coast. Euro tries to take it out to sea. The NAO is not exactly in a negative territory when this is taking place this weekend. So the idea of the low going more east than curving up the coast is actually a little more likely. Also, the EPO is going negative this weekend. And PNA is going positive. I know I'm throwing a lot of terms at you, but this would signify a troughiness into our neck of the woods. So this tells me altogether that the idea of energy going more east is more likely, and there is also going to be a dip taking place. So then we have to figure out the strength of all those that all meet up into the Ohio Valley. I hope that all makes sense. In other words, with such a tight gradient, there is so much room for error in the models right now on how this could play out. There's no sense of getting excited or disappointed when it comes to whether or not you want snow or you want rain out of this. It may be a situation of both. If we had to pinpoint an idea, well, let me show you. Here's the ensembles from the Euro. Here are the low pressures that are coming out of the south, a little more south than the GFS is showing. And here's the energy dropping in from the north. And again, you start to see the low. Oh, I threw the wrong map in. I apologize. But the low pressure is actually right in here is where it shows the lows, the different ideas of the low pressure moving through. At the moment, I think this area stands certainly a much greater potential for some snowfall out of this system. I'm not really sold on it really going up the coast like this at this point. I think it's going to be more of a drag as that energy from the north drops in, and then when the low forms, then it turns more to the east-southeast. So I'm not really seeing it really a factor yet into wave country. Just to our north, can't rule out the rain ending as snow. That's possible, but that's all I can really say for now, guys. It's only Monday. Let's give time. All right, no sense to freak out or panic or hype anything up. Let's just watch it. After that, the CFS model is hinting that by the first day of spring, certainly a lot of indicators here, aiming for severe weather potential. It's going to get active with thunderstorms once we get past this little taste of winter potentially moving through for this weekend. It's a wild week coming our way. Let's see how it all looks tomorrow.